Sometimes it doesn't start with a big argument or betrayal. It starts with a quiet discomfort, a feeling that something's off, but not enough to explain. You just keep going day by day until the thought begins to take shape. Am I happy here, or am I just used to this? Hi everyone, my name is Anisha Nassali. Today I'm going to decode this confusion smoothly so that you can have a better idea regarding this. It's one of the most personal and unsettling decisions anyone can face. Surveys suggest that nearly 25% of people in long-term relationships think that they're leaving at some point, yet most of them never say it out loud. The idea just floats around, quietly influencing their mood, behavior, and connection. Because it's always foggy brain and nothing feels clear. Some days, the relationship feels bearable. Other days, the unhappiness seems too heavy. You're stuck between the comfort of what you know and fear of what you don't. At some point, most relationships lose the intensity that they started with. The butterflies fade, the mystery wears off, daily routine becomes more routine, less romantic. But does that mean that something's wrong? Or is the relationship just real? Psychologically, loving couples experience cycles of closeness and disconnection. It's not always a sign to leave. The rhythm is part of being human, not a flaw in the bond. However, there's a difference between temporary disconnection and a lasting sense of emptiness. When emotional distance stretches on for too long without repair, it can quietly reshape the dynamic into one that feels like coexisting more than connecting. So it's better to focus on the distance and the reason behind the distance, because sometimes it's a signal that healing and reconnection are needed before assumptions about the end take root. It's easy to see what the other person isn't doing when they don't listen, avoiding important conversations, or seem different from who they used to be. Those things do matter. They affect communication and trust, but sometimes it also helps to take a step back and look at the full picture. Without placing blame on yourself, it's important to notice how you're showing up too. Unresolved patterns, old emotional wounds, or silent expectations can quietly shape how you respond and relate. Often, we want our partner to fill the spaces inside us that really need our own care and attention. This isn't about taking all the weight, it's about seeing clearly, because sometimes a relationship doesn't just show us who the other person is, it shows us a part of ourselves we've been avoiding, and noticing that can be the first sign towards clarity. There's a trap of social media. Everywhere we look, love is romanticized. Movies, music, and social media create a version of relationships that look effortless, full of passion, deep connection, and constant excitement. And today's dating culture, there's quite a pressure that someone more exciting could always be out there, just one swipe away. But real love doesn't really follow a script. Even the most beautiful magnetic relationships settle into something more ordinary over time. The spark might still be there, but it competes with busy schedules, stress, and daily habits. Eventually, every person, even the most captivating one, becomes fully human, with all the messiness that comes with it. Sometimes what feels disappointing isn't actually a failing in the relationship. It's the result of chasing an unrealistic version of love. Recognizing that can shift everything. Not because you have to settle, but because you stop searching for something that was never real in the first place. Over time, communication can start to feel like walking through a minefield. Every small issue turns into an argument, or worse, it turns into silence. Things get left unsaid, not to punish the other person, but because holding back starts to feel safer than being misunderstood. In that kind of space, it's easy to fall into scripts, saying what you think you should say, or what you hope will protect you. But something shifts when you drop the performance and start to speak from a place of honesty, not to blame or defend, but simply to express what's true for you. There's a difference between saying, I feel lonely, and saying, you never care. One opens a door, the other builds a wall. Honest conversation can feel uncomfortable, even painful, but avoiding it often causes more damage in the long run. Sometimes healing starts with just saying what's real, gently and clearly. Before I continue, let me know if you're getting value from the video so far. Leave me a comment in the comment section. What if I leave? There's often a fear of leaving. This question haunts most people. You imagine waking up months later, full of doubt, wondering if you gave up too soon. And it's a fair fear. Leaving doesn't always lead to freedom and joy. Sometimes it just brings a different kind of sadness. According to relationship researchers, people who leave without doing the emotional work often find themselves in the same situations later, just with differences and new complications. That's why it's worth taking the time out to understand what the real issue is. When a relationship feels heavy or stuck, the idea of starting again can feel like a breath of fresh air. New apartment, new routines, the chance to feel hopeful again. It sounds clean and freeing, like turning a page that no longer fits. But the reality of new isn't always light. It can be disorientating, quiet, lonely. It comes with its own set of challenges, emotional, financial, and practical. The grief of a breakup is often deeper than expected. It's not just the person who's gone, it's the shared routines, the private jokes, the rhythm of a life that was once built together. Sometimes what looks like freedom is actually just a desire to escape discomfort. And while change can be healthy and necessary, it's important to see the full picture, not just the imagined relief, but the very real process of letting go. Clarity comes when the decision to leave isn't just about avoiding pain, but about moving forward with intention. Relationships are living things. They need growth, a sense that both people are still learning, adapting, and showing up with care. When that stops, frustration slowly builds, not always in loud argument, but in a quiet disconnection and emotional drift. It's not about needing constant excitement or big gestures, but there has to be something that feels alive, whether it's the deeper conversations, shared goals, or simply the effort to understand each other. Without that, the relationship can start to feel like a routine to manage rather than a connection to nurture. Over time, maintaining something that no longer inspires each person becomes exhausting. If the energy to grow is gone and both have stopped trying, it becomes less about love and more about endurance. Noticing that shift can be uncomfortable, but it's also the beginning of real honesty. When we're weighed down by fear of being alone or making the wrong choice or facing judgment, it clouds everything. Decisions feel impossible and the path gets tangled in what ifs and uncertainty. But imagine for a moment that none of those fears existed. Picture a world where you didn't have to worry about what others would think or fear of being alone. What would you choose if you weren't held back by those barriers? The answer might not come easily, and it might still bring pain. But in clarity, you might find a truth you've been avoiding. It could be the first honest thought you've had in weeks, months, or even years. Sometimes freedom starts with simply facing the truth of what you truly want, unfiltered by fear. Leaving, it doesn't have to be dramatic or filled with conflict. It doesn't always equate to failure. Sometimes the most kindest and most respectful choice for both people is to acknowledge that it's time to part ways. A thoughtful goodbye without bitterness can be one of the most generous things that you do for each other. Not every relationship is meant to last forever, but that doesn't mean it didn't matter. Even if the connection ends, it has still shaped you, taught you, and helped you to grow. If walking away is the path that you need to take, doing so with clarity and kindness can transform the narrative. Instead of viewing it as a loss, it becomes part of a larger story of personal growth and mutual respect. The decision might not come in a flash of certainty. It might arrive in pieces, through small moments, through quiet reflection, through repeated conversations with yourself in the early hours of the morning. When you've asked the hard questions, when you've sat with the discomfort, when you've looked at your partner with clear eyes and you still feel that need to leave, that decision comes with weight, but also with wisdom. It doesn't make the heartbreak easier, but it does make it honest. And whether you stay or go, clarity is a gift that you owe yourself. If this video has helped you, or if you know anyone out there who might benefit from this video, please share it. And in the meantime, take care of yourself because you deserve it.